All right, for this week's lab and next week's lab, we're going to use our little this little board that I included in your kit. And if you look, it says temperature and humidity sensor. And I have no idea how well these work. I literally just bought them for this kit. I believe the actual sensor is probably that thing right there. Not 100% sure, but I think it's that thing right there. And you'll see there's two ports here. There's one for, if you look, there's one that says T, and it's got a positive and a negative, and then there's one that says RH, positive and negative. So this one's going to be the temperature. This is the one we're going to use this week. Next week, we're going to use this one with the relative humidity. And it's basically going to be the same video, so I'm probably not even going to make a video next week. But you're going to just use this other set of connections here over in the relative humidity. And I've already plugged in the connector here. If you look, you got a black wire that goes to the negative, a red wire that goes to the positive, and a blue wire that's going to be your analog signal wire for the temperature. So, looking at this thing, got the same thing on this end. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try this, and if this doesn't work, we can work around it. I don't think these will make a good connection in here. No. Okay. So that's unfortunate. We'd like these things to plug directly, and I'll try to focus on it. Let's see if that'll work. Probably not. Okay. We'd like them to make a good connection there, but it doesn't look like they're going to. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use the breadboard here. I'm going to take a couple of these wires, and I'll use the red for the red here. And you'll see that if I plug that in, it actually makes a pretty good connection. And then I'm going to use this yellow one here for the ground. And then maybe this orange one here for the signal. And in movies, they always show, like, you know, if there's a bomb and they're trying to defuse it, like, which wire do we cut? The red one or the blue one or the green one? That's all lies, because you and I both know that the wire is going to be this. Just, you know, what wire color they use isn't really that important. I could flip these around and they would still conduct, and that's not so important. The wire color is never important, but you try to make it standard. Though, I guess if you were making a bomb, you probably wouldn't. Anyway, before the feds show up, I'm going to continue on my actual lecture. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a positive here. And yellow, I did negative. So I'm making negative here. I'll just leave the orange sticking out. And the reason I did this is because then I can plug these guys in. These are my little 9-volt connections. And I don't have to put them in a specific spot. Just moving things around a little bit, maybe give myself a little room. I don't like this one. Stand by a second. I think I've got another one. Maybe I don't. Worst video ever. Sorry about that. I don't even know if you can hear me, but I'm talking still. All right. Well, we'll use it anyway. I'm not happy about it. A crappy wire and a crappy connection. So what I'll actually, ooh, do I have something better up here? I do. Ha, I'm gonna cheat. You guys don't have this tool, but I got this fancy thing. It's pretty clever. So you guys can plug them into the breadboard, but I'm gonna use this because I can. Instructor privilege here. Haha. Don't let those connect. That's a note to myself. All right. So we power this beast. Bye-bye, breadboard. And, you know, nothing exciting happens. It just sits here. But what we want to do, we take out our little multimeter. And I've got all my pieces set here. So I want to measure voltage and maybe down to 2 volts. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect one to my ground, which for you guys would be your breadboard. It's a little challenging with this alligator clip to make this work right. Little trick, you bend the wire around there and clamp the whole assembly. Okay. Anyway, you want one end on the ground and one end, and then your signal wire to the positive. And you'll notice, let's see, does backlight help? No. You'll notice I have a voltage there. And theoretically, if I heat this thing up, you see the voltage changes. And if I let go, theoretically it'll cool down. I hope. It's going to make a liar of me just because. There it goes. Starting to cool down now. Well, maybe. This is exciting, right? Anyway, what you're going to do, why we're doing this, is that's what's coming out, is some sort of signal. And it may not sound like it's super helpful to us because we want a temperature, not a voltage. So what we're going to need to do is I have to build a chart. And I made up values here so that you can't just use mine. But you're going to go through and you're going to write down the voltage. And then you're going to write down the temperature. And you're going to basically make a little table. And then find a best fit line for it. And so you say, well, how do I know what the temperature is? I got this temperature sensor. What do I need to do? Well, it turns out your little multimeter has a temperature sensor as well. So what we're going to do is if I want to know what temperature it is right now, I can unplug this guy and negative in there. And then this one, see how it's got this T plus? That's going to be this one. And this is a thermocouple. We talked about thermocouples in the regular lecture there. And then I'll turn this thing over to where it says degrees C. Okay. And I've jacked it up, so we'll see if this actually works. There we are. Okay. So it's saying it's like 24 degrees Celsius in here, if you believe in those units. If I heat up the end, 31. Hope it doesn't go too much higher, but you get the idea. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up with this little chart and come up with a couple things to test. And you can do like room temperature, you can take it outside, though I do recommend not doing this in direct sunlight because that sensor's super sensitive to sunlight, so it just heats up really quick. But, you know, take it outside in the shade, take it in your room, put it in your refrigerator, stuff like that, and get a couple values on there, at least 3. Be better if you had like 5 or 6, and make your little table. So what I want to see is this table of values, and it would be nice to have a picture of your test apparatus here with it wired up. So that's this week, and next week we'll do humidity. And I have no idea how we're going to calibrate humidity, but there's a little sensor there, and we'll try that out. So that'll be a mystery for next week.